Good evening, and welcome you to the Select Board meeting for Monday, October 27, 2025, and I call it to order. We will be going into executive session, and we will be coming back, but no earlier than 6:30 p.m. into open session once again. So I'll accept a motion to go into executive.
Second. Mr.
No,
Chair.
what do you mean second? You got to read the
I
motion.
got to read it, I'm sorry.
It's different every week at least.
It is entertaining.
Mr. Chair, I move we go into executive session for A, pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. SEIU 888, Service Employees International Union, Harwich Management Employees Association, HEA, Harwich Employees Association, HMEA, Highways and Maintenance Employees Association, Harwich Permanent Firefighters Association, Massachusetts Coalition of Police, Patrol, and Superior Officers. B, pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, excuse me, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, and to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel, Acting Town Administrator Anthony Schiavi. And C, pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, 21A7, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law or federal grant and aid requirements, the Open Meeting Law, Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, 22F, G, to review, approve, and/or discuss the possible release of executive session meeting minutes dated June 26, 2023.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
No, you can't. You made the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, Anita?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
I'm an aye. We will return, but no sooner than 6:30 p.m. to open session. The public meeting back into order. We had previously gone into session at 5:15 and went into executive session for several things, and I can announce tonight that we have come to an agreement that we have mutually signed with the Professional Firefighters Association, so that's good news for everyone. And second of all, as to the release of minutes that were requested under the Freedom of Information Act, we have reviewed the newest redacted versions from our legal counsel, and we voted to release them also. So with that, if you will join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so let's start off with staff comments and/or announcements. Anyone? Hello, Carolyn.
Hello. Carolyn Carey, Community Center Director, and I just wanted to give you some of the highlights of what is coming up, including a brand-new program that is starting as I'm standing here. There are clues throughout the town of Harwich, in buildings throughout the town. The clues for the clue scavenger hunt are on our website and listed in the community center. And if you find a clue, bring it to the community center and win 2 tickets to the show Clue at the Harwich Junior Theater. So we have all the rules and everything, so little giveaways.
Before you go any further, I have Mr. Mustard in the Griffin room for my clue.
Well, there might
With
be a
the rope.
murder, I don't know, I'm just saying. Then I wanted to remind you that we do have trick-or-treating at the community center on October 31st from 4:30 to 6 p.m. We'll be at 1 or 2 doors, and the night before we are doing a craft night, so people signed up for that. We are full. So we're going to make crafts. On Sunday, November 2nd, we have the community yard sale with 40 vendors or individuals coming. We're also doing our free teen clothing swap on that day. One's in the multipurpose room and one's in the gym. Please stop by. On November 6th and 13th, we're doing the tapping technique, emotional freedom technique, EFT tapping. These are all online and posted downstairs at the chamber, in the community center, and at the library. We have an HVAC talk, which we did last year, and people asked us to bring it back. It was very helpful on how to have maintenance done on that. There is grab bag crafts on November 7th at 6:30. There is Santa pet photos, which we are working with the animal control officer, 5 to 7. Corn husk figure making dolls on November 14th. And then a talk on Southeast Asia, November 20th. Oh my gosh, I'm tired. The Jewelry Bingo, November 21st, and look for more information. All of those events are free, and you can find any of the information at the community center. And we would just like to thank all of the people who help us by supporting and coming to our events. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you need a permit for our scavenger hunt. Stephanie Ridenauer, Director of Natural Resources. So just wanted to let everybody know we had a wonderfully successful season at the Shellfish Lab, the town's upweller. So we broadcast about 500,000 seed. So you really do need a permit for our scavenger hunt. But if you have one, you'll be happy to know that in basically 2 years from now, those clams should be harvestable. So we continue stocking our recreational and other areas every year. So it's not a secret. It's not an actual scavenger hunt. If anybody ever has questions about where we, like specifically where we stock shellfish, feel free to contact the department. But general areas are the harbors, outside the jetties and the sound side, the rec area in Pleasant Bay, some other areas in Pleasant Bay, and then Herring River. And we actually partner with our commercial permit holders to broadcast in Herring River. So not exactly a secret where they are. And then we had a few fishway projects over the summer, so that is all funded through DMF, the work that we've done, which is nice. They've been wonderful at collaborating with us for some work that's just needed to get done quickly. And then now we have the Young of Year herring going out to sea, so we have some volunteer day coming up. So we partner with Harwich Conservation Trust, Conservation Department, our natural resources staff and volunteers, and then our respective AmeriCorps members, more DMF staff. So we'll all be getting together and shoveling out the sand, clearing everything for the fish to go out. But if anybody has questions about that, you can contact Natural Resources.
Okay, great. Any other staff? All right, we'll move along then to the weekly briefing.
So, as it relates to the ongoing sewer work, a couple of things that are in the packet this week. So we did receive 2 letters from the town of Chatham. One was the request by the Select Board to incorporate the Great Sand Lake Sewer Extension Project into the IMA. That was approved by the Chatham Select Board, as well as they approved the updated sewer regulations for the town, which it's been a long project to get that moving, so that's been approved. The Water and Wastewater Commissioners are having a public hearing on November 7th for final adoption. Once that's done, that'll actually allow the town to provide the grinder pump reimbursements that some folks have been waiting for that purchased their own grinder pumps for the sewer system versus the one the town had. So good news on both fronts there. As far as Phase 3, 1 East and 2 West, it's pretty much the same as it's been the last couple of weeks. And 1 East, they're working on Route 39, Vicksburg, in the Priscilla Pines neighborhood, moving their way down towards Pleasant Bay Road. On 2 West, East and West, Pleasant Bay Road, still getting sewer work. There's detours there as well as additional work still in Standish Woods on Lydia Bangs, Jasper Moore Trail, et cetera. So no major changes as it relates to that particular effort. So as far as the Brooks Academy Library goes, is another one. We got some comments back from the designer architect that we needed to send to council to review some of the things that they didn't agree with on the town's basic engineer contract. So we're waiting to get word back from town council on those changes so we can get a contract executed with those folks to get that work started and moving.
Just to that point, they give you any indication of what the turnaround would be? Because we've all discussed this. It's not until we clarify that, give them the contract, that we can come up with a work statement to put out for a general contractor.
Correct. No, I don't. Until they actually get a contract, they're not, I'm not sure they have that work effort even started yet. So I'll see if I can follow up and find out where town council is to try to see if we can get that contract signed.
Speed is of the essence with Brooks Academy. Would you agree, Linda? Okay, any questions for the town administrator? All right, seeing none. Public comments and announcements.
Good evening. I'm Linda Sabula, Chair of the Harwich Charter Commission. Just a quick update. The commission, elected by the voters of Harwich, has been meeting since June of this year discussing the various sections of the charter. We have engaged the Collins Group to assist us in this endeavor. Would you like this? I can just give this to you. We have requested and received input from various town agencies and from the public. We encourage input and suggestion from all interested parties. Our meetings are scheduled basically every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. We're either in the small conference room or periodically we're over at the community center. You can find our meetings on YouTube. The proposed revisions of the town charter will be sent directly to a town ballot. For this effort to be successful, all parties need to work together so that the final product to the voters of Harwich will be satisfactory to all and will lead to continued success as a town. We are inviting the Select Board to attend one of our meetings to provide individual and collective insights on possible amendments to the Harwich Charter. Please advise us as to your choice of date. We're all every Thursday. Hopefully soon, before budgets and all that planning, et cetera, starts overwhelming everything. Any member of the public, including individual members of the Select Board, they all have the ability to come to our meetings. Please come. We are looking for input. We are looking for the interest so that we can do our job to basically provide charter amendments that make the most sense for our community and for our town. Do you want that?
And if you want to stick around till the end of the meeting, we were going to have the discussion about when to meet with you.
Well, there's a football.
Certainly welcome to slog all the way through to the end.
Don, there's a football game on. That's right. I'm busy.
What could be more exciting than watching this to its conclusion?
Football game, which is exactly what I would do.
I see she's going home to watch paint dry.
She's going to start the scavenger hunt.
Jana.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming out to support. Hello, my name is Jonna Powell, and I have been a tenant of the 204 Cultural Arts Municipal Building since 2019.
Before you go, just want to say that public comment is not designed for us to answer anything you're saying.
I absolutely am aware of that.
And I did tell you on Friday I was going to try to get back to you with something more interactive, but you can't do that in this
Oh, I know.
forum. So
Yeah,
with
I'm
that,
well aware of the
The
process.
fact that it's timed, go ahead.
I got my thing under 3 minutes, right? Two to 3 minutes?
There you go.
Thank you. And pardon me while I look down. Can I restart?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Hello, my name is Jonna Powell, and I have been a tenant of the 204 Cultural Arts Municipal Building since 2019. Many locals have known me and my partner Connor in the local arts and culture market scene, including Cranberry Fest, since we started our first business in our early 20s when we established a tile product that preserves local historical ephemera well before moving into the 204. Many newer people now know us as the hosts of the 204 Thrift and Flea Market since we launched our first collaborative event with the town of Harwich in spring of 2024. We had our latest event on Sunday, October 12th, where Cape Media Center came and filmed for a video highlighting its successful impact in our community. On Thursday, October 16th, an attempt to terminate studio space at the 204 was signed by our acting town administrator, Anthony Schiavi. This past Friday, October 24th, I received a certified letter from the Select Board and Administrator's Office stating I should be out of room 101 by December 1st of this year under the clause the room is being reserved for municipal purposes. Firstly, this termination did not follow any standard operating procedure that would involve the board who signed and approved our leases in the building. And there are multiple technicalities that make this notice void, starting with the fact that room 101 is our director, Kara Mawini's office. As a tenant who has always been in good standing with the town, I do my absolute best to contribute positively to the building and to the greater community, as many people are aware. I believe we are a vital asset to the 204 itself and programming within the town of Harwich. And as community support clearly shows, we should be considered a value tenant regardless of any redesignation process. I request that this issue be put on next week's agenda with a verbal commitment tonight from the chair that the board be prepared to answer in detail with a resolution next week. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Hello, my name is Connor Howard Rose, and I'm Jonna's partner. This attempt to terminate the studio space at the 204 did not follow any standard operating procedure. There is no precedent for terminating a lease at the 204 except for the RFP process. Former tenants who have moved have always been given a large grace period of many months to leave the studio so it wouldn't affect their livelihoods. But we've been told to leave on December 1st. We are full-time artists and small business owners, and our studio is a workspace that allows us to afford to do what we do here on Cape Cod. We work to preserve and highlight local history and create handcrafted products with original vintage ephemera. We have always had a positive relationship with the town, our director, and the greater Harwich community. Hosting the 204 Thrift and Flea Market has boosted many small businesses and has become a destination event for the folks to come to Harwich and the 204 facilities. Uprooting us from this community would be devastating. Please reconsider termination of our studio space at the 204 and help us reach a resolution with the town to remain tenants at the 204 and active community members. Thank you for your time.
Thanks. Anyone else on the? All right, so I know what you're asking for, but I came to you in good faith on Friday. I made a commitment to have the discussion. I still have that commitment that I made. I'm a little disappointed, and we went nuclear in a day. I'm not going into a conversation with you, Jana. I'm just saying. You remember me visiting you for?
Mr. Chair, point of order. We cannot go back and forth.
I know, but she asked for a commitment to put it on the agenda next week, so I will take that under advisement. That's as far as you're going to get. It's not in the right form. We could have put it on the
Again,
agenda.
point
We're
of
done.
order.
He's right. Point of order is
Point of
that
order.
we can't have these discussions in public comment. So you pick the venue. All right. Anyone else? Public comment? If not, we're going to move along. Consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the Select Board meeting minutes from October 14th, 2025, and October 22nd, 2025.
Second.
It's moved and seconded to approve the minutes from October 14th and October 22nd, 2025. Any changes proposed or comments? Pete?
My only comment is if you separate them, I can vote on the 14th, but I'm fine with you folks. Just want to move along.
Why don't we separate them? That's not going to take long. That was the motion, wasn't it, the October 14th?
Well, I did say the 22nd, so
I don't remember that anymore.
My second was for the 14th.
I thought so. Okay, any further comments on the 14th? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Now the second one.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the Select Board meeting minutes from October 22nd, 2025.
Second.
It's moved and seconded to approve the minutes from October 22nd, 2025. Any comments? Anita?
No comments.
Okay. Pete? Are you going to be abstaining then, or?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstains?
Abstain.
Okay, 401.
Mr. Chair, I move we vote to approve the following committee appointments as recommended by the Interview Committee. Arthur Donowski, Recreation and Youth Commission, full member, term to expire June 30th, 2028. And number 2, Cindy Bellew, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, Treasure Chest Committee, full member, term to expire June 30th, 2028.
Second?
Let's move in second. You want to repeat that name again?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes.
Good to see Cindy back at the Treasure Chest on the committee. She was a tremendous contributor her first go-around, and both Anita and I speak for you on this one, Anita. We are thrilled to have her back, and Arthur will be a strong, strong representative for the Recreation and Youth Committee. So my thanks to both of them for coming out and supporting their town.
It's a perfect opportunity just to make the comment before the vote. As per the Treasure Chest, we don't have all that many organizations that mimic this. The Treasure Chest Committee has broad aegis over the Treasure Chest, but they're a board that is advice-giving to the board. That's number one. Number two, there are a lot of volunteers, but in the realm of things, they are subject to the rules and regulations that the Treasure Chest recommends and that the board adopts. So just to make it really clear that the volunteers who show up that aren't on the committee are subject to whatever it is the committee is able to promulgate and get the select board to agree to.
Well, and I'll add to that, thank you for that, and I'll add that as the liaison, it's been smooth sailing for quite a while, and I'm happy to report. Thank you.
But your meteorologist's report from here is that occasionally there are squalls out there, and I just wanted to remember and remind everybody that there's a 3-tier operation out there. So with that, the recommendations have been made for the approvals of the 2 different committees. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous.
Mr. Chair, I move we vote to accept a gift for the community center from Harwich Cranberry Festival in the amount of $2,000 for additional programming at the community center.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept a gift from the Harwich Cranberry Festival in the amount of $2,000 for additional programming at the community center. Any comments from you, Carolyn?
Again, this is just a huge thank you. It is because of groups like this who we work so frequently with that see what we're doing and really want to help support not just the community center, but the whole town. Them helping with our budget takes and allows it to go to someone else. So you're not just helping the community center, you truly are helping the town. So thank you.
Go ahead.
Say no after that.
Oh, me? Come on. No, with the terminology of easy for me to read, I can't see with or without them. Additional programs, like I said, is that things like you were talking about this evening? Are those the types of programs this is going towards?
Correct. One of the big ones that we did last year was we were able to do the cocoa and curtains and take a group of individuals to the junior theater who otherwise couldn't afford to go. So they see the needs that we struggle with because we are limited. We try and do as much as we can with a small, not small, very grateful budget. But these are always extra programs that we would love to support, so we're appreciative.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
Okay, it's still out there to accept the gift, and now you hear more about what it's for. So any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous.
Mr. Chair, I move we vote to accept a gift for the community center from Witchmere Harbor Club in the amount of $250 for additional programming at the community center.
Second.
Richard's giving me,
The kind people who made that donation to the community center here, frankly, we should be recognized for it.
you mean virtually here, except we can't see the bottom of this screen.
You're sitting
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, sorry. And we very much appreciate it. There's a long history of helping out the community with not just this kind of thing, but the scholarships and such. I'm not sure that the community understands just how much you do for us. So thank you. Okay, thank you, Richard. All right, now moving along.
We have a motion and a second, I believe, for the
Yep.
250. I don't think we voted yet.
We have it on the Witchmere Harbor Club now.
Who was the second on Witchmere?
That was me.
I was wondering, I don't think there was a second.
That was me.
It was? All right.
I'm the second making machine here.
All right, so we move and seconded between you and him, we don't need the rest of us at all tonight.
Just go home.
Yeah, thank you.
So moved.
Thank you. Okay, so all in favor of accepting the Witchmere Harbor Club $250 donation, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the resignation of Darlene Doty Mahoney on the Cultural Council, effective immediately.
Second.
Just moved and seconded to approve the resignation of Darlene Mahoney from the Cultural Council. Any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And with our gratitude for service already rendered. All right, moving along, the 2026 Annual Town Meeting update, the budget timeline.
Okay, we continue to make progress on our timeline. Everything is proceeding as planned. I had a department head meeting a week ago, Monday, the 20th, and issued my budget instructions to all the departments. That was, based on the general policy guidance issued by the board on the 29th of September. Departments are at work now, inputting their salary and wage information and expense information into Munis. I've already received 2 town to budgets back, which is good. I told them it's not a race to be last, so we'll start reviewing those individual budgets as they come in. So I've received 2 so far from assessing and from the harbor. I would also mention that in concert with that, we're working on the updated sources and use document with the finance team. We met again today on it. Hopefully within the next week or 2, we'll have something to present to the board, at least in a draft form of what we're looking at. Arguably, there's still a few blind spots out there related to a couple of things that, we don't have good solid information on just yet, related to things like health insurance, the Barnstable County pension assessment, those type of things. So we're working on some budget estimates for those particular line items. The capital outlay process has begun. We met last week. I presented them with the new capital outlay plan format. I think everybody liked the format. It's quite a bit more detail. We talk about funding sources, et cetera, as well as infrastructure categories for each of the projects that are requested. And we'll start, I'll say, the meetings with department heads on November the 5th, running through approximately the 3rd of December to get all the departments through that process, along with the Capital Outlay Committee. They've been great to work with so far, and so we'll get that process moving, hopefully to have it wrapped up by the 10th of December. So that's moving along well. Still no words from DOR. Obviously, we're in the queue, so it's really up to their timeline at this point on getting free cash certification. And so we'll see, once we get that, I'll obviously let the board know that we have that number. As we know, it informs a lot of decisions related to capital and other things that get funded with free cash. So that's kind of where we're at. We're just moving right down the list. A couple of things coming up to be aware of. The tax classification hearing happens in late November. That's a very important part of our process. The board sets the tax rate for the next year. So again, upcoming items is a big one there for the tax classification hearing. That's on the schedule right now for the 28th. Questions?
Questions or comments for the town administrator?
Just
Looking
happy to
good
see
on
the
keeping up to the
updates.
timeline.
Yeah, just happy to see those updates and tracking.
All righty. Just move on here. Okay, the next one is somewhat cryptic, but I can break the key here. The discussion about appointing possible roadways consultant. We've been dancing around this in general. I know that Lincoln gave us some figures on paving and construction and everything. He does a tremendous job. I think we all agree that our roads are in excellent shape compared to any of the adjoining towns or across the whole Cape. This isn't a discussion about the condition of the roads as much as it is the capacity and design of the roadways to handle the traffic we have, irrespective of whether we have any of the affordable housing initiatives that are going on, because it's become increasingly clear over the last several years as you travel here in the summertime that the roads themselves, the way they're currently constructed, and the last major revision I could recall is the interchange at Route 6 where the traffic lights were put in and there was an eminent domain taking and road widened. Even that, in any direction you go in the summertime, it's a long slog. And every VHB examination we have done so far has resulted in the, how are the roads? Not good, thank you. I'm looking for not good, but here's what you could possibly do to address some of this stuff easily, and here's other things that you could do that might cost some money, and here's how you would approach that. We don't have a coherent, comprehensive plan of roadways all across the town. I might point out to you that the town itself spreads out over like 34 square miles, so it's an immense town in terms of its size. So it becomes really important how we get people from here to there, given the current roadways. So that's how I'm framing it. What you got here is you see that Link is definitely taking care of the roadways. He has plans for that. He has 5-year plans. He does what he says he's going to do, and he continues to work on that and keep on improving the roadways we have, but that's not really the issue. It's what can they handle, and for how long is that going to be? Now, the other thing that I think we all ought to understand is that should we decide we want to do this, that it's a warrant article kind of thing. We don't just happen to have like $100,000 hanging around that was appropriated at last town meeting, because that didn't happen. So we would have to make sure that the public gets to see this as an article and is willing to subscribe to bringing somebody in to do a deep dive professionally into the roadways. So with that,
And along those lines, I think it's spot on, right? We bring it to the folks at town meeting and let them make the decision. We certainly heard from various constituents throughout the community of various roadways and issues that they create. So let's give everybody an opportunity to opine, and let's get a number together on what it would cost us to bring forward to town meeting and let them make that decision.
okay. That's what I had in mind. I mean, so this had nothing more than to just bring it forward as a subject matter, and we'll keep that as an item for placement in a warrant article. Pete's right. I mean, but as we stand right now, we could sit here and argue forever about, okay, you can't do that because there's too much traffic and nothing should be built anywhere. But we've never actually looked at what the alternatives were and what state grants there might be, because I do know that there are some revolving around housing that would improve roadways. But with that, that's all I need out of it. If there's a consensus on the board that we should move forward with a draft article, then? Jeff?
Mr. Chair, if I may say, I've heard at several public meetings that we have a lot of traffic studies done. And they're done, and then they're not acted on. And
They don't recommend much of anything.
Well, they don't, and there's no dollar figure. So I think this is a way of bringing all that good work into focus in terms of what can be done, the prices, and actually to give good guidance to Link and his crew. So I think it's a great idea.
Say you all? Jeff?
Yeah, my only point would be, I think we need to make it crystal clear to the public as to the term, what we plan to get out of this. A lot of things need to be answered, at least in my mind, and I would imagine the public's mind, before we present the warrant article.
Yeah, and to both of your points, the pop metaphor that I've been using is kind of like you get carted up to the hospital in an ambulance with a heart attack. You get to the ER, cardiologist comes in and says, yep, you have a heart attack, and then leaves. We have not had a single engineering study for the roadways comprehensively done that talks about, okay, so we've got failures, we got problems, now what? And that's really the problem. And there are sources of revenue for that, too. Again, some of them are associated with affordable housing, some of them are not. The state has grant funds that you can access, but only if you're doing certain things with housing. So there's a lot of discussion to be had about how we approach our roadways. I don't want any discussion whatsoever, though, after all of the studies we've had that just says, yeah, you got a problem. We all know we got a problem, so now it's a question of how do we fix the problem. So with that, we'll talk more about what an article looks like and how what we'd want it to say and how it looks. But thank you, appreciate it. All right, next up, discussion and scheduling dates for enforcement of the Port Restaurant's liquor license suspension. Have a seat. Just need to identify yourselves for the...
Tina Brown.
Well, you don't have to be sworn in.
No, you're speaking like I'm in court.
Yeah, I know, but the mic...
I'm giving you all due respect. Tina Brown from the law firm of Letcher and Letcher representing the court.
Thanks, Tina.
Justin Brackett, owner of the board, also go by Judd.
Thanks, John. Okay, and as we know, we've come to the long and winding end of a road so that there is a penalty of some sort to be assessed. And the other thing we know is just, it's fair to say that the original date has come and gone, and that was a while ago that we had originally assessed, and there was discussion about why and how long. So we had settled on 3, but we did settle on 3 that had to do with some element of punishment, though we don't particularly want to hurt your business. So with that, I'm opening this up. We have a 3-day suspension that we had originally assessed, and the question then it becomes, when would that occur? Yeah, sure.
So, as I see now, the only person on the board is Chairman Howell, who was here 5-6 years ago when the infraction occurred. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands that in terms of, deciding on a punishment, it cannot be based on the fact that my clients appealed the decision. The fact that it's lasted 5 or 6 years. A lot of the delay was by the ABCC. I think it took them 2 years maybe to issue a decision. But my point is that in assessing a punishment, it has to be based on what was the action at the time. It cannot be based on, it cannot be retaliation for, exercising their due process rights to appeal decisions.
Here we actually agree. And I was going to say that. It's like the passage of time was because of the appeals period. It's not like I'm not interested in, and I'm hoping nobody discusses any additional penalties to say you've annoyed us for 5 years and we're going to actually tag on. That's why I brought up. There was a 3-day suspension. It was put at a particular kind of time in the year based on what we thought was appropriate for the actual infraction, not for anything that's subsequent to that, because I agree with you that it's not pertinent and we can't punish you for the way courts take time making judgments. So I agree with you.
I appreciate that. I think we all need to be reminded just what a challenging time it was during COVID, and that there were the regulations were changing every day, particularly for restaurants. I'd like a moment shortly to let Mr. Brackett speak on just some of the things that they went through, but they were in constant contact with the Board of Health with regard to what should be happening, what shouldn't be happening. And like I said, I'm going to let him talk to you about that. We're not here to relitigate what went up on appeal. We know those issues are foreclosed now, but just to get a sense of what it was like during that time, I think you need to hear it directly from him. The port, like many, many other restaurants that were shuttered during that time, lost an enormous amount of money. Employees lost an enormous amount of money. they actually lost a lot of staff after that, actually during and after that season, because people just didn't want to come back. They had a manager there who worked so tirelessly, and I have to say, like, the way patrons spoke to the staff was horrible. You know, if they were told, you put your mask on, you have to have a mask. Some of them started raising political issues as to why they should wear a mask, why not. Somebody gets up from their table where they were wearing a mask and goes to the bathroom and washes their hand and throws out the mask and comes back. Everybody did their best to try to keep the distance, everything that was required there, but it was not an easy thing to do. The town also earns an awful lot of money from the restaurants through the hospitality tax. And so I just want you to keep in mind when you are assessing 3 days of punishment for a venue that only has basically 8 weeks of solid time to earn their income and their livelihoods, that to shut them down during the high season would be devastating. As you know, that I say all the time, when I'm in front of you, I ask that when you dole out any punishment, you are consistent with how you treat other restaurants and establishments in town. You know, some giving punishment in the shoulder season on a weekday is something that I think should strongly be considered, because that's what's been happening throughout the town already. I know that what happened was painful for a lot of you. I wasn't present during a lot of the hearings and things that happened. For the aggravation and for the, you know, for lack of a better word, just the back and forth and aggression that may have occurred, my clients apologize for that. It is not something that they condoned. They had, as you know, different attorney. I think you've now seen that my style and it is different. I think my clients have been extremely cooperative with the town. We had a fantastic summer. I don't think really anybody, I think everybody got along, play nice in the sand is what I say to people all the time. And, you know, we are complying when we get emails from any board, different boards. I'd say the judge responds within 24 hours to most of them. When the town asked last year for everybody to get engineers, you know, to just assess their occupancy, I believe my clients were the only people who actually submitted those plans. My point being, we are really trying to cooperate, get along with the town. We're partners. The restaurants and the town are in a partnership together. When they do well, the town does well. If they're closed and they're not doing well, your other stores in the area are going to lose money, other businesses are going to lose money, and the town itself is going to lose an awful lot of money just on the hospitality tax. So I ask that you take that into consideration. I'm going to just defer to Judd for a few moments.
You wouldn't mind if I did that? Judd, would you like to be heard?
I would love to, and first, thank you for the opportunity. I know it probably is surprising, but 5 years later, this is my first opportunity to speak to anyone on the board or from the administration. So I'm very grateful. To reiterate what Dina just said too, I hope the change of representation is an indication of our feeling on advice and where we look to go in the future. I do want to also impress upon the fact that 5 years ago, the resounding verbiage and sort of narrative was this idea of flagrant disregard for the regulations, and I'm here to tell you that there is nothing further from the truth. COVID was a very challenging time. There were changes in regulations weekly, daily, sometimes, and I personally was in touch with Megan Eldridge, who was then the director of the health department, every day, every single day. We have provided some emails and a lot of correspondence, things that were either questions about rule changes and how to go about it, In fact, the letter of the allegations from the ABCC I addressed with Megan long before we even received it, because on the evening of Thursday when they were there were a few things that the investigators said were not compliant with state regulation. And I immediately emailed Megan and said these were in conflict or not in concert with the guidance had been given at the local level. Now, this is the first time we've had a chance to talk about it. One of them is people sitting at a bar without a bartender present. That was deemed at the state level to be a violation. However, we had been given guidance at the local level that that was okay. And it was our email to Megan, after following the Thursday night investigation that led to an email from Megan saying there had been a change. She had spoken with the ABCC, and there was a new local guidance that you could no longer have people seated at the bar if a bartender, no matter if there was a bartender or not. And the following Friday, the ABCC returned to the port, and we were compliant with that. This is some of the things that we were doing on a daily basis. There is in that letter, there is a reference to a ring toss game. We sent Megan, again, another email because that was mentioned by the ABCC and said that first of all, this ring toss game is outside of our parking lot. It's in a mulched area that is more than 100, at the time was more than 180 feet from the tent. And again, I'm not trying to litigate all the facts. I just want to give you a sense of where we were at, but it had come to our attention that customers had used it, and it was considered, gaming, or, at that time, I think pool tables and other entertainment items were closed. We asked Megan, this is not something we are actively advertising as a game to play. Someone used it. What is the best method here? She said either cut the string where the ring was attached or put a sign on that it's closed and tape the ring to the post. We put a sign up that was closed, taped it, put the tape so that you couldn't use it, took a picture of it, sent it to Megan. This was a daily occurrence. We were not, no intent. Did people walk through the restaurant without masks? Absolutely. We had people coming from other states that were in other phases. This was challenging. We lost everyone that was even remotely a manager or of a position that was that was giving instructions. Has honestly, most are no longer even working in the restaurant business. This was not an easy time. This was not flagrant. This was not ignoring. There was no intent. Did people walk through the establishment without it? Absolutely. Like 100%. Did we tell them they have to go back to your table and put your mask on? We did. This was a challenging time. We were not ignoring anything. We were not flagrant. I believe one of them says that our kitchen closed at 10. If you read further through even the ABCC findings, they said after 10 they were offering pizza. We were allowed to have an abbreviated menu. It was approved by the Board of Health. We had shrimp cocktail, clam chowder, pizza. We had time receipts from employees that worked until 1 o'clock in the morning in the kitchen, so we were not closed. There are discrepancies. Again, not here to litigate it all, but I'm here to impress upon you that the narrative is incorrect. We were doing what we believed was correct. Some of our guidance locally was not in concert with the state, but we honestly were doing what we thought we were supposed to be doing.
Okay.
I think also, just my last thing at this, I don't think that you have to stick to 3 days just because you discussed that previously. I think now that we're here, we should be able to discuss punishment, anew, whether that be a day or two or a fine, what have you. But I don't think you have any obligation to stick to the fact that 5 years ago you were going to impose 3 days.
And sorry not to interject, but also the language that we received from the Board of Health at the time was a progressive discipline in terms of any issues, which was, it originally started as the first phase was educate and warn. These are Megan's exact words, which is very much, we got an email about people on the sidewalk being concerned about being too close to diners out front. And we made the suggestion of, because down on Route 28, there's sidewalk on both sides of the street, what about making the sidewalks one way in concert with the traffic? So there'd be less traffic on the sidewalks, people passing each other. These were some of the things that we were trying to do. So it was educate, warn, be progressive, and then Megan was very clear that the next step was fine, and there was also the option for cease and desist.
And that was with regard to COVID Order 13. All of those documents, all of the emails between Megan Eldridge and Judd, and there was a stack probably this big, were provided to Town Administrator Powers and to Attorney Jeff Blake with the request that they be reviewed by everyone. And I don't know what happened with them, if everybody here had an opportunity to see all the emails, but there clearly was an email from Megan that did say, the first step is a warning, the second...
It was educate and warn.
Educate and warn.
Fines.
And then cease and desist.
If there were continued, then cease and desist.
Okay, we're going to discuss amongst ourselves, but two things that I don't intend them to be inflammatory, but they are factual. The first thing is these were not infractions that were brought by the health department. There was two ABCC investigators that were on site. And secondarily, it led to the fact your lawyer, who was less than pleasant at that point, he was a former employee of the ABCC, and nonetheless, they didn't act to abrogate the findings for what occurred. What occurred is what occurred. I invite either of you, and pretty much the general public, we have the Zoom copy of the hearing that we took, and it was extremely stressful. There was a lot of screaming. It was a lot of employees. I can think of one particularly who was the bar manager.
I'm sorry,
It
that's
was,
not relevant.
but it was relevant to the stress that we got put through to even make a matter of findings. It was a horrible meeting. And again, you can go...
But that should not be taken into consideration in issuing a punishment.
It had to do with...
What happened.
I'm not going to
during-
argue with you right now. It had to do with the series of events that we were trying to uncover in the hearing, and it was not that easy to... we have our former chair sitting in the back of the room, and it was, let's put it to you this way, it was not our finest hour for a hearing. So with that, I'll turn it over to the board. Does anybody have any...
I had a question to either the establishment owner or his counsel. Could you tell me the months, the days of the week, and the hours of each day that you operate business?
There's slight variation because of the season, but ultimately we're open April till November 1st. In the shoulder seasons, we are closed on Monday, Tuesday, but in the after Memorial Day, we are 7 days a week.
And hours?
3 p.m. to 1 a.m. And then on Saturday, Sunday, we'd open for lunch at 11:30.
Mr. Chair, so I'd like to hear from my colleagues, but obviously I wasn't part of this 5 years ago. However, I am inclined to support the 3-day suspension that was previously discussed by various boards in town. So again, I'm happy to have some flexibility on the particular days, but my inclination is to enforce the 3-day suspension. So I'd love to hear from some of the other colleagues.
Well, obviously, I wasn't around at that point in time either, or on this board. I think I would agree with my colleague and see if we can come up with a date that would probably be less hurtful for your establishment, if we could. You know, that way we could all just, get along. We're a town, like you said, he does well, the businesses do well, we will do well as well. So maybe we can come up with something that would be compromising. Thank you for being here.
Sure. I remember from the last hearing we had with another establishment, and with you, Dina, we talked about parity, and I think that's important, parity. So therefore, we dealt with the punishment that was recommended at that time. So I'm in favor of the punishment that's recommended, but we also said that we don't want to hurt your business. So I think, we'd be certainly open to assigning the punishment, or I'd be in favor of assigning the punishment when it hurts you the least.
Right.
And so, that would be my opinion on this.
Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you both for being here. I again, as Dina stated, I was not on the board when all of this began. I picked up maybe 3/4 of the way through. I view this as a new start. You have a new council, Mr. Brackett. We have a new board. In my view, it's an opportunity to move forward in a collaborative way. You used the word partnership. And I view every business in the town of Harwich as a partner to the town. And I hold that in the highest regard. It is hard to overturn a previous board's ruling of 3 days. Like my colleagues, I would feel comfortable finding some common ground in days that wouldn't substantially hurt your business. And I'll yield there and listen to the chair.
I've already said what I've said.
Okay. So we're looking for a motion, Mr. Chair?
Of dates and times.
Sure. Mr. Brackett, if I may, Mr. Chair, through you?
Sure.
You mentioned your establishment is open April 15th-ish
Yes.
to November 1st. But the months of Memorial Day, you're open 7 days a week.
From Memorial Day to Columbus Day.
From Memorial Day to Columbus Day. And while I'm looking, if any of the board member wants to also do the same thing and suggest some dates.
May I say one thing?
Yeah, sure.
I think whatever dates we decide upon, we want to make sure it doesn't coincide with the penalty that Perks has. So, there are businesses open there. So whatever dates we assign, we don't want to have both establishments closed at the same time.
That's very considerate.
Okay, so, good point.
Yeah, it was a very good point.
They don't have to close. They just can't serve alcohol,
Right.
right? So...
With the economics of a restaurant, that's essentially closing.
And I understand it is, and I understand it is. I'm going to turn to you and ask you the dates that since you brought it up.
I know it was in April, and I'm sorry, we'd probably have to look back in the minutes.
I don't remember.
When we had the perk sharing, I remember you made the motion, Mr.
Yes, I did. I'm not so concerned about that.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion on it.
Yeah.
They're June 2nd, I believe.
Yeah, it's June.
I believe they were June.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, yeah, okay. So,
Mr. Chair,
Pete?
I don't think I'm aligned with the rest of the board, but I'm going to throw out a motion nonetheless to have the port serve the 3-day suspension in the following dates: Friday, June 26th, Friday, July 24th, and Friday, August 21st, 2026.
I'd second that.
Pete, can you repeat those?
Sure. Friday, June 26th, Friday, July 24th, and Friday, August 21st.
May I speak?
Just a
do
second.
we have a second?
I seconded it.
Thank you.
Dina?
Everyone just went here about not wanting to hurt the support of their business. 3 Fridays in the summer is extremely egregious. I mean, the Friday night's one of the biggest nights ever, and in the summer, and they just said they were open from April through October. That absolutely hurts their business, their employees' businesses, their livelihoods.
And I believe Perks is a Tuesday.
Yeah, and Perks is a Tuesday.
I appreciate the comment. From my own perspective, I'm just going to mention to you the infractions were in the season. They were not in the shoulder seasons. We're trying to find an appropriate resolution of that. It was extremely chaotic. And again, we didn't create the problem. Somebody in your end created the problem, and the ABCC investigator came in and saw it. We were only on the enforcement end of this. We did not have any stake in the game of picking you out or trying to do undercover work with you. It was all based on an ABCC investigation, 2 of them. And they were both in the dead center of the summer.
We weren't allowed to vent?
You
I mean, can I address,
Yeah, sure.
there was a show cause hearing that was scheduled for, it was a mandated in-person hearing I was traveling, the TA was informed that I was unable to attend because at the time, it was a January hearing. And at that time, there was a 48-hour quarantine still in effect in Massachusetts, and I was flying in from Michigan and couldn't attend, and I was not given a Zoom link or any ability to be there in person or by Zoom.
January?
Yes. The show cause hearing.
Yeah, but by that
So,
time,
show
that
cause
doesn't
hearing,
happen in a vacuum. By that time, the infractions had already happened.
I understand, but the date that was chosen, there was zero flexibility given. The business was not represented either by its owners or council. When I say I speak tonight for the first time in 5 years on any of the allegations, I don't believe that we were extended the opportunity to do so. I think a lot of what that was written was in question, and that, like I said tonight, we were given direct local guidance that was in conflict with the state, and that is part of the findings. We had been told by the director of the Board of Health that you could have people seated at the bar without a bartender present.
So you're basically alleging that all these were health violations and nothing happened with liquor at all?
I already said that. I already said that. I said there was absolutely people that got up and walked through that we had to remind them. There were 100%, but there are pieces of that where they said kitchen was closed at 10 o'clock. It was not, and they actually said pizza was served after 10 o'clock. So we didn't have this opportunity. We didn't have the opportunity to have a discussion about all the allegations. That's in the hearing that was by Zoom that you spoke about. Fully agree. It was non-productive. There were people yelling. I was muted
and swearing.
100%. But I was also muted. Never spoke. Never allowed to speak. So I do ask that you take into consideration that some of the information, we were doing exactly what we had been told at the local level was allowed to be done. However, that did not coincide with the state guidance. Like I made the analogy to Dina today. This would be like a thickly settled speed zone being 35 miles an hour, but posted at 40 and getting a ticket going 38. Some of these things we were doing exactly as we had been told were okay.
Mr. Chair?
I'm keeping it to just the liquor.
Yeah.
Go
If I
ahead.
may, just to get a little more clarification, Mr. Brackett, on prior to Memorial Day. So April 15th to Memorial Day. Are you open like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
You could ask that after we vote on the current motion that's on the floor.
Oh, yeah, right. Good point. Okay.
So there is a motion on the floor. You want to reread the dates?
I will. Friday, June 26th, Friday, July 24th, and Friday, August 2nd. And just for the record, my punitive recommendation was going to be the weekend of July 3rd, but I didn't think that was appropriate with some of the discussion from other board members. I'm not going to factor in the issue with the other establishment because it's a absolutely, completely different issue. They are not similar in any way, shape, or form. So although we may have taken a different approach with the other establishment, that's not part of tonight's discussion.
Any further discussion on this motion?
No.
Just to read the dates one more time. I have June 26th. Sorry, Pete.
No, that's all right.
June 26th, July 24,
and August 21.
Okay. Thank you, Pete.
She looks scared. That was the motion he didn't want to
You
make.
said August 2nd at the first, well,
I'm
second
sorry, I
half.
probably misread my note.
Good, you're good.
August 21, yep.
Yep.
All right, so no more. If there's no more discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Me. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, start again.
Back to my question, if I may, Mr. Chair. April 15th to Memorial Day. Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
Wednesday through Sunday.
Wednesday.
This year we opened May 1st, the 1st of May, so just keep that in consideration.
So we'll start May. And May to whenever Memorial Day is on the,
Yes. I don't know.
which is the 25th of May. You'll be open Wednesday through Sunday.
Correct.
You know, look, Mr. Chair, if I may continue.
Sure.
The board started with the tenor of the chair beginning with, I don't particularly want to hurt your business. followed by another board member, and myself saying the same thing. And I respect Mr. Pekarsky's position. Everybody has their own ability to think for themselves up here, and I think that's a very important part of what the Select Board does. So I would move that the dates to serve the suspension for the Port Restaurant. Thursday, May 21st. Tuesday, June 9th. I gotta write it down so I remember what I said. In September, Thursday, the 24th. The 21st of May is a Thursday. I went Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday.
That's a big one. It's just,
We have music in the Port on Wednesdays, so that kind of takes out Wednesdays. So, to read...
May I ask, is that Memorial Day weekend, Thursday the 21st?
No. Yes, begins Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, is it possible?
I meant that to be the 19th.
Thank you.
Sorry. May 19th. June 9th, which is another Tuesday. And September 24th, which incidentally is my birthday. I expect gifts from everybody, and that's a Thursday. So there's the motion.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? I will say, I think you guys are making a horrible mistake because this is the baseline going forward in the future for, you're not going to be able to give any kind of other penalty without justifying why that was so much more egregious. So, and we did not have a plethora of infractions during COVID. It wasn't like it was the Wild West and everything had broken loose. So I've said my piece. I think you're making a mistake.
Well, may I address you and a question to you, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
Given your opening line, don't particularly want to hurt your business, would you be able to provide me with 3 dates that you think would not hurt their business, but sets the right tone? Maybe I'll modify.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gone quite as far as my colleague Pete, but...
Excuse me, point of order, that motion's already been seconded.
I know we're having a discussion about whether this is... You'll forgive me if I actually chair the meeting. We've been down this road before. I get that you go to court, but this isn't motions. We're in the middle of deliberation ourselves.
If we need to remove the second, remove the motion to have this conversation, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And then we can go back to the motion,
You want to...
I'll remove my second.
and I'll remove my motion.
So at least... Let me go back to a statement. I know it's an old saw, but as everybody knows, I played in a bar band for a lot of years, and what I did find is in areas where there were infractions, if they were unaddressed, it became much more difficult to deal with the overall community of people who had licenses. I don't think that anything we could possibly do would tip the business out of business. I can agree that I wouldn't want to do anything on the 4th of July weekend, and it may well be a June Friday in the middle of the week in July or August is okay with me, but I just don't see that this is a penalty of any real consequence.
I would argue that this business is consistently busy, as I live right around the corner. Obviously there is high season for this business, as there is for every other business in Harwich and Cape Cod, for that matter. I don't find this to be wildly lenient, given that I did choose a June and a September, and they're busy in both months. As I said, I'm there. So I'll make my motion again. I move that the penalty to be served is 3 days, and the 3 days are May 19th, June 9th, and September 24th.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded again. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. That's 3-2 in favor. You'll get it in writing.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time.
you.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move that we vote to approve a special permit application for the Harwich Cranberry Festival for entertainment, one-day liquor license, wines and malt, craft fair and event, for an event to be held on September 19th, 2026, from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., God bless you, and September 20th, 2026, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., event to be held at 100 Oak Street.
Oh, heck, I'll second it if nobody else wants to. The good folks are here, so you can take the opportunity to talk about the festival, but I'm,
My name's Katie McGuire. I'm heading up the 50th anniversary this year.
And I'm Paul Gazai, 23 Derby Lane from Harwich, and we're here representing the Cranberry Harvest Festival and looking for your approval for the special 50th anniversary that we're going to have next year.
okay, that's been moved and seconded. Any questions?
So, since it's discussion time and they're here, I noticed drone activity.
Yeah.
So what does that entail as far as getting approvals for that to happen? Just curious.
So we've already been working with a company. Actually, one of their members is on with us tonight if you guys have questions for him, Graham. They bring all of the permits and everything with them. So they go before the FAA and get all the permits and stuff like that.
And really, I'm curious, this isn't to try to stop it, I'm just curious. So is this like an educational forum on drones, or?
So it's going to be, instead of having fireworks, we're going to have the
Oh, the drone light show.
We'll do the
I
fireworks.
guess I didn't pick that up when I read, I just saw a drone, so.
So the
it's
drones will be
drone
done
light
at
show.
night, so we don't have any chance of fire in any
Understood
of
now.
that.
Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome.
Guess I missed the light show piece, I just saw drones.
Something different.
Right.
Any other questions, comments?
No.
If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you for
Thank
everything
you.
you do.
Thank you.
so much.
Okay, Tony.
So on September 12th, 2025, I received a letter request from Mr. Peter Kloss and his daughter Kate Lomask, from Jake Rooney's also doing business as Ashwood Food Service, which is our vendor at the Cranberry Valley Golf Course, asking for a one-year extension to their lease renewal at the golf course. Similar to what I did with the dockside over at the harbor, I reached out to Roman Greer, the golf course superintendent, as well as the health department, just to get feedback related to the operation there. Both said that they've been a great partner to the town, have had no real issues. A couple of things we talked about just in terms of feedback. Overall, everything was very positive with the restaurant. A couple items for feedback. One had to do with just as they shut down and restart come the spring, the health department asked they do some just refresher, training as far as food safe and that type of thing. On the golf course operation side of things, a little better communication with groups that are hosting. They do a lot of tournaments, a lot of events there. As it turns out, they actually just hired somebody, I believe his name was Scott Thompson, who will act as the special events coordinator for the golf course. So they've already jumped on that, again, to make it a great experience for those that are having tournaments there and are looking for food and beverage service during and after their events. So the recommendation is that we extend their license agreement for 1 year. This will be the final year of their lease agreement, and they'll have to be re-put out again on the street at the expiration. So it would run from January 1st to December 31st next year. They are current on their payment to the town. The only thing due at the end of December is the net sale percentage to the town, but they wait till they close down and calculate their books and their earnings.
Anyone wish to make a motion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Motion to approve the town administrator's recommendation for the one-year license agreement renewal for Jake's at Cranberry Valley.
Extending from January 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2026.
Absolutely.
Second.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded to exercise the one-year renewal for period of January 1st to December 31st. Any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Old business, discussion on the assistant town administrator process.
Okay, so we're at that point where we need to make a couple of decisions this evening before I put this out on the street. In your packet tonight is the flyer that we developed related to the assistant town administrator position. What is missing on this, which is a decision point, is what we plan to put on as it relates to the salary range. And so what I did, I provided the board with a memo looking at two options related to that. The first option being to establish a position outside of the personnel bylaw to be an executive contract and employment agreement similar to what the town administrator and the finance director are under, with the advertised salary range of $145,000 to $165,000. Obviously, with that type of a contract, benefits are negotiated as part of the contract agreement. Option two, if we keep it in the personnel bylaw, I would recommend that we would regrade the position from its current level of M7 to M9, which is the top current level in the personnel bylaw that has a salary range in FY26 of $131,372 to $163,864. So a little bit on the low side beginning, a little bit short on the high end based on what my recommendation. Obviously, the benefits associated with that position are the same as what all the PBL employees would receive. We did a salary comp analysis with various assistant town administrators, assistant town managers across the Cape, which you saw in the last time I presented this, which is where I ended up looking at in terms of the potential salary range for the position based on the new updated job description, which also would need the blessing of the board as final. So that is also in the packet as well. In terms of timelines, if the board were to approve it for advertisement this evening with those decision points made, we could get it out by the end of the week with about a 30-day advertisement period through the beginning of December, so December 1st. Working at warp speed, we try to do interviews with potential candidates, myself and the HR director, that first week in December, present an offer of employment or begin contract negotiations, depending on which way the board chooses to go. Make that appointment before the board around the middle of December. And again, depending on where the person is coming from and professional commitments they may have that dictate how much time they might need before starting. Your earliest start time is likely the beginning of January. So I know when we talked about this, was trying to get some time while I'm still here before the new town administrator gets on board. Provides a little bit of time, but not necessarily a lot of time if we expect the new town administrator to perhaps be, I'll say, on station and starting sometime in January.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing to that, because discussions that you and I have had so that the public actually hears this and the board actually hears this. This is not a repackaging of the existing job description, and we're just going to throw more money at it.
Correct. We have elevated significantly the job
There are
description.
elements of supervision, and as you pointed out in the past, that you build a job description based on span of control,
Correct.
authority to make decisions, management controls, and you have rewritten the description to reflect that depth of responsibility. So it's not the same job description.
Not even close.
Want me to start?
Yep, sure. Go
Thank you.
ahead.
To that point, Mr. Chair, through you, this is what you're referring to in terms of what you've rewritten.
Correct.
Okay. And I think it's great.
Yeah, and I didn't get any real major change. I think the only tweak I made was one related to procurement, just to make it clear that we're looking to start to decentralize, I'll say, some of the nuts and bolts of procurement. I actually have 2 employees that are currently preparing to get their MCPPO, which is the Mass Certified Public Procurement Official designation, as again, part of that decentralization, even though the chief procurement function would remain as it needs to be in the town administrator's office.
Right. And I recognize that this is not really what we're discussing tonight, but I just want to commend you on this, and I only have 2 very small things that I would like to see added to it, and that can be for a later discussion of this board.
Bring it up, that's fine.
Well, the only 2 things I would like to see in there would be a narrative of delegation. for the assistant town administrator to be able to, consider delegation with the oversight of the town administrator.
I think that's in there.
I couldn't see that specific language.
Was that delegating departments to oversee? Maybe I'm not...
We can have that conversation later, right? And then the other piece of this is, you made so many great points in here, Mr. Schiavi, and I would just add, support the staff to allow them to excel and succeed in their current position. And that's briefly touched on here, but I think an assistant town administrator has an awful lot of opportunity to assist our current staff in excelling, exceeding, and growing in the position that they're in. And I think that would be something that would be a real positive part for this. But other than that, I think it's a home run. I would like your opinion, administration's opinion, on option 1, number 1, versus option 2, number 2. Which way, what would admin say for a recommendation there?
So I've had both situations.
That's why I'm asking.
My assistant and board was on a contract, as was a number of other department head employees were on contracts, not part of personnel bylaw or even a union for that matter. When I worked in Ashland, we didn't even have that, and so basically just an employment at will. I set his salary, and that was sort of it. I think it depends. I mean, although generally speaking, if you're in this line of work, you don't shy away to contractual type of arrangements, right? There are some that may consider being in a personnel bylaw being a little bit more secure than if you're on a contract that, needs to be done every, 3 years or so. But I think generally speaking, I personally think it should be an executive contract and an employment agreement, given the level that we've elevated the position to, and the salary range. If the board chooses to go with what I recommended, I think it's more fitting for the position in that regard. So,
And to be clear, you're delegating certain responsibilities to make direct reports to this person.
absolutely, yeah, and it's not dictated which those are. I think the town administrator, whoever it is, looks at the balance, the skill sets between him and his second in terms of how they choose to, divide that up.
No, I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I agree with Mr. Schiavi. This is more of a management position, and therefore I agree it should be more of an option 1.
And I thought the same thing.
Yeah, and I think we're in terms more of even a little bit even high, in terms of being a senior, senior manager, senior management at the executive level versus, how you would look at it otherwise.
Someone want to make that into a motion, Mark?
Sure. Let me find it here.
Opting for option 1 to recruit.
I move that we take option 1 in terms of direction to the town administrator for the assistant town administrator, administrator recruitment.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt option 1 at the recommendation of the town administrator for the recruitment of the assistant town administrator.
Very good.
Any further discussion, Pete?
So along the lines, Tony, where you were going with whether it gives some candidates reason to pause, can you think of any other cons? I was trying to go through it myself, and I could see a lot of pros to the I guess the layout on what you have here in option 1. But I'm trying to decide, are there any other cons other than someone hesitating to apply that you can come up with?
No, I don't, actually. It's more of a personal thing, which you're not going to be able to, articulate that there's a general feeling out there. So, but again, any of the things somebody, could be concerned about in terms of, job security and things like that, we have standard, language in contracts related to those type of things, which police chiefs are on contract, fire chiefs. So it's not uncommon to have it that way. It's just when you get into the assistants, it's kind of a mixed bag. different towns handle it differently, but again, I think the way that the position has been elevated and the work that the board and the town administrator will look for the new assistant to accomplish, it clearly fits into that construct in terms of the level within the organization that we're placing it. If you remember, the job description that currently is calls it a developmental position, I mean, right in the first paragraph. So that's a completely different, position than what we have created here.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And, of course, Mr. Chair, I'd love to be able to argue that the salary is too high, but looking at the comparables...
I'd be disappointed if you didn't.
Looking at the comparisons of the other communities, it's, let's just say it's not.
Okay, I'm more inclined to go from the other direction. It's supported from the bottom up to be at that level based on the skill sets that are being required in the job description. It really had a problem compensating at a higher level with the existing job description. So with that, any other comments? The motion's on the floor for option 1, so to go out and advertise. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so we received a Monterey Regional School Committee letter. Now you can see that the upcoming meeting on October 15th has come and gone because we didn't get it in time to put in the packet, but it seems to be very collegial. They're encouraging us all to talk with each other, and that they've adopted the goal of being able to address everything that the agreement represents between the two towns. So, thoughts? Pete?
Mr. Chair, first I'd like to thank the members of the school committee for agreeing to review the current agreement. I think it's an extremely important first step for both communities to actually come together and work on potential language changes or funding formula changes or whatever changes that are in the best interest of both communities, but most importantly, the students in the Monomoy school system. So, again, I'm grateful for their willingness to open and review the agreement. I'm hopeful that some of the discussions that were alluded to a few weeks ago, if not longer, with a couple board members here going to sit with the town administrator, have taken place, and some materials being created to share with the folks as to their why that's been requested, and or our why that has been requested by them. And then we can move forward on, I think, what our strategy would be. And what I mean strategy, if we want to continue with the professionals leading the discussion, members of our finance team, administration, and the school board's administration, or if we want to muddy the waters, I'm kind of showing my hands, if we want to muddy the waters and have politicians get involved and hash it all out. But that's for the greater good.
That would include you, though.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm willing to listen to my colleagues, but again, the message right now is thank you for the opportunity to open and review the agreement, and I hope that it can be a productive use of everybody's time.
Now, as we go forward, that was my intention with the letter. I've talked with Meredith a bit about this, is to have you two folks put something together for us as a proposal so that we can riff off of that, because I think we're at that point now based on everything we got, and we have an inclination on their part to look at it. I will say that I'm still where I was even a few years ago. The reason we want to do this is a fundamental why is because at some point or another it's going to compromise the actual education that kids from both communities get, because whichever community winds up being the limiting funding source is going to wind up either creating an atmosphere for an override or an atmosphere for severe cuts, and I don't want to see either of those two things happen. The kids deserve better of that from their adults, so hopefully we can come up with some rationale about what's equitable for everybody out of this, and that's kind of what I'm looking for when you guys work on this. I think there should be, Eric should be even more capable of that discussion over the next week or two, shouldn't he, based on where he's at?
Well, we just met today on it. I was going to mention later, but I have a meeting over at the Monomoy Regional School District on Thursday to discuss capital, but also budget. And so we had a discussion about that today on starting to put together our, game plan, of what kind of information we want to pull together. Don't know exactly the timeline right now. I mentioned to Selectman Kelleher today that, we have a lot of things, critical things we're working on right this second, that being one of them, but trying to get the sources and uses in a format where we're starting to sort of try to take out some of the blind spots we have. So that's next up on the list. So it should be very soon that we can, bring something forward for the board.
So if that works for you guys, then I'm going to be looking for probably the agenda after this agenda to at least have something as a draft that looks like something we could have a discussion with both the Chatham Select Board and the school committee. I will say, all I'm hoping for out of this is that it has more light than heat, because we've gone down the road of more heat than light, and it's not helpful. Because I want a discussion where we just sit down and discuss what each town can really afford for its kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we'll do whatever, but I think we need a couple of weeks at least to try to, I want to make sure it has meat to it and we have enough time to analyze it, so we bring you, solid information that we've been able to vet, internally.
That's well and good. I just wanted the board to understand that the things are still happening.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just tabling this, but for whenever we can actually come to some sort of fruition with a draft, that's what the objective is. Whether it's 2 weeks or 3 weeks, that's still the objective. And so if that's good with everybody, that's what we're going to wind up doing.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I did meet with the interim town administrator today, and his information is going to be very important. Once we have that, I plan to get together with my colleague here to kind of work in addition to the why, give some of the background information that compares the two towns, and to make a presentation to this board to kind of vet it out before we take it, so to speak, on the road. So we're working on it, and what I would suggest to my colleague here is that in lieu of the report from Tony, we should start to work together with some of our points that would go along with the financial points that Tony's going to provide. So, and I know my colleague is very interested in doing that. So if Tony can give us, Mr. Schiave can give us that information probably within that week, we'll be ready to roll. We make a presentation to this board and the public.
That'll be contingent on what his schedule is, but sure.
Right, yeah.
And we're not part of that right now. You're going to develop something for us to review, to be able to vote on. All right, we'll leave it at that then.
Perfect.
Okay. Mr. Ballantyne is sitting in the rear right now. Next item is the acting town administrator's appointment recommendations.
So thank you very much. As you recall, I put out I'll call it an advertisement or a call for members and residents of the town that may be interested in serving as my designee on the Affordable Housing Trust, and wrote up, some of the qualities and things that I think were important for that person to represent our office, or my office and myself on a very important committee, the trust. And so I had met with Mr. Ballantyne on October 14th. We had a great, engaging conversation. He's very passionate about affordable housing, very knowledgeable. We discussed a wide range of issues around affordable housing, some of the things that we're already working on, such as the Penrose project, but also discuss, some of the upcoming, things that may, be part of the work of the trust. And so I feel very comfortable in asking the board to consider his appointment as my designee on the trust for a period of time, as long as I'm assistant town administrator. Assistant town administrator. I'm not applying for that job.
That'll get more time out of it.
As the interim town administrator, but no longer than, I believe it's in June or May of this year, because that particular seat expires, right? So we have them on, recurring cycles, so.
But The way the agreement is currently written, all we can do is affirm your recommendation for as long as you occupy that position.
That's correct, and that's what it will say. I'm just letting the board know that that particular seat, even when my replacement comes up, has to be redone in May anyways, if that were to continue.
And just to remind everybody, we got like a plethora of opinions from KP Law on this, but when we got down to Lauren Goldberg's, it basically said that there is no way to usurp the Select Board's authority to confirm appointments, so that the town administrator does not have direct
Yeah, you're actually
appointment
making
authority.
making a vote to appoint, that's correct.
So we would be voting to confirm the recommendation of the town administrator to fill that spot and for as long as he's in his position.
Right. Vote to appoint.
To that point, I would respectfully disagree in that Mr. Schiavi's statement is accurate. We don't know the future. Odds are Mr. Schiavi is not here in May. However, the term expires in May.
But we would have another person in.
No,
Actually,
I'm
there
saying
is
we
no
don't-
term that expires. That is an infinite, it's vested infinitely in the town administrator for as long as they sit in the town administrator's.
Correct. So my point is that the acting town administrator is giving it a date certain, which he has the right to do.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's in perpetuity while he's in that chair. It doesn't need to be said that way.
With the date?
So he's opting to say during his term or May of 2026, whichever comes first.
I don't think we have the authority to do that.
I don't understand why.
The
Otherwise,
successor town administrator would have the right to actually
No, no.
take the position themselves, or
no, that I agree with. I'm saying it's whichever comes first.
you want to make that motion so that I
No,
can
he
understand it?
made that motion.
He can't
No, he
make a
didn't make a motion. He made that,
He made a
he articulated that
recommendation.
statement. That was his wish.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I don't have it in front of me with the statute, but I believe it says that the board appoints 5 members to the trust for terms not to exceed 2 years. So even the town administrator, every 2 years, they have to be appointed again. It doesn't go forever, is the way I read it. So I'm not sure. But again, at this point, obviously, I'm not going to be here.
So what are you riffing on, Pete? Do you want to make the appointment for as long as the current town administrator has, but in no event longer than
Which is what I thought I heard
June 30th?
the town administrator say a few minutes ago, so yes.
It isn't May, though, it's June, because we go on a fiscal year.
So,
All the appointments are done.
we don't need to waste any more time. I just know we got into a bind the last time with the way it was proposed, and so therefore, why don't we clean it up this time?
Making the appointment for as long as he is the acting town administrator, but no event beyond June 30th, 2026. We all agree that?
Well, I don't.
Okay. Let's hear from the, from the defense.
If we're trying to clear it up, I see no reason to add a date certain, because there was never a date certain. There was?
My understanding is when
I think we read it differently.
Okay.
Yeah,
Strangely, I agree with you.
yeah.
When I spoke with Natasha in our office, right, so she tracks that, right? So right now, the trust, all 5 members are on staggered terms. And the seat for the town administrator expires in June 30th, 2026. Which means it's just a reappointment, whether it's the town administrator, if he takes over that role and decides he wants to be on the trust, come June of 2026, the board will do another appointment for him. It's just like the board,
Right.
all 5 members are on staggered terms, including the town administrator. He's not under special dispensation. The way the Mass General Law is written, it's you appoint 5 members for terms not to exceed 2 years.
Okay.
That applies to all 5.
So I stand corrected. Let's move this forward.
Okay.
So, I know.
You want to repeat that, Ben?
I'm not repeating anything. Jeff,
Just want to go so moved.
He never made any motion, you did.
I didn't make a motion either. I thought Jeff was ready to make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I don't need to read it.
Read it.
This could have been so simple.
Yeah, no kidding, 4 months ago. Go ahead and read it.
All right. Let's see.
You move to,
We move to appoint as the town administrator's designee to the Affordable Housing Trust, Larry Ballantyne, to a term not to exceed June 30th, 2026, whichever is sooner.
Or the term of the acting town administrator, whichever is sooner.
Right.
I'll second that.
I think I got it.
Yeah, you got that? We tried.
Larry, the term's going to be over by the time we're finished.
I know. We're trying here. We're trying.
Larry resigns.
Larry will lapse in place, just sitting right there waiting for us to do something. Okay, I'm not repeating that, so
Did you get
the
it?
designee.
Okay, we're good. We're
The
good.
motion is to designate Larry Valentine.
Seconded it. I was the second guy.
Yeah.
Was seconded?
Got
Okay.
it. Okay.
I'm not going to ask for anybody else's opinion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous.
Opposed, Mr. Chair.
Welcome aboard, Larry.
I'm opposed, Mr. Chair.
You are opposed.
Opposed.
Okay. 4-1. Jen, 4-1. Okay.
Yeah, why?
What?
It was opposed.
That's what we do. We vote, and somebody can vote either way, and 4-1. But you've been appointed. Okay. Contracts.
So the first contract, let's make sure I go in order here. The Cranberry Valley Golf Course Irrigation Installation Contract. No? Oh, Eastern Minerals, sorry. The Eastern Minerals contract was a procurement done out of Plymouth for a number of, I have it memorized, for a number of communities for salt for the winter months, so.
$73 a
Eastern
ton.
Minerals won that contract, and so executing this will allow Link to go out and purchase salt for the winter.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve a contract with Eastern Minerals, Inc. for road salt in the amount of $73 per ton with a not-to-exceed amount of $146,000. As well as I move that we approve a contract with National Lawn Sprinklers, Inc. for an irrigation upgrade at Cranberry Valley Golf Course in the amount of $1,744,500, as well as we move to vote...
No, keep that one
Sorry.
separate.
Okay.
Somebody want to second this?
I'll second.
Okay. But the sprinklers can't be done while it's icy.
Sure.
Okay. Any further comment? All in...
Chair, just one quick comment. Just a 15% increase from last year. I know it was well bid out. It just seems excessive for road salts. The inputs have gone down. It's just an observation.
You should see what we're paying plowers now compared to last year.
And the other thing, Tony, if you could check, Dennis gets 100 tons, we get 200 tons. It just didn't seem to match up. They have more miles on their roads or whatever. Just, I don't need an answer, but I just observed that Dennis is getting 100 tons, we're getting 200.
I could be snarky and say if you travel our roads after a storm compared to their roads after a storm, there's a reason for that.
Drive through Dennis.
Maybe that's
Just saying.
fine.
We have a motion in a second?
We do.
I think Pete's got something down there for you.
Mr. Chair, through you to Tony, if I could, and I already see the hour, so I'm not looking to delay this any further than the last discussion, but when I'm looking at the agreement for the irrigation installation, and I'm pretty sure this document's created by our council, correct?
This is we use our contract, not theirs.
Yeah.
You want a particular page that I can?
Well, yes and no. We could go to the top. What I don't see really is any SLA, any service level agreement language. The contract, the way I read it, and again, we're not going to spend 4 hours on this, but the way I read this contract, pretty much all the benefits go to the contractor. So in other words,
Which of the two contracts are you on?
I'm talking about the installation, the irrigation installation.
Okay, sprinklers.
So, and I'll just give a quick example where it talks about, is agreed that time is of the essence of this agreement. Well, that's subjective. The contractor shall commence and Execute the work under this agreement upon execution hereof and shall complete the work on or before June 1, 2026. That's the only language related to when this is supposed to be completed. There is no language whatsoever that talks about if it's completed after June 1, 2026, as far as what our rights are in relation to the contractor.
For like failure to perform?
A remedy for not performing.
And so that concerns me, because as I go through the document, and again, we don't have to get too deep, but when I go through the document, I look at when it talks about payment, for example, and now I'm scrolling through, well, it's page 105 of our packet, but, you know, receipt of a periodic estimate request, final payment is within 65 days after the contractor fully complies, right? So, completes the work. So again, they've got the language that within 65 days we pay them. There's language in here about the owner paying the contractor, even if there's still 1% outstanding of the original contract price. It's not a ton of money when you're talking about a $1.5 or $1.7 million project, but 15 or 17 grand is a lot of money to some people. So, again, I'm not saying that language shouldn't be there. I just don't see anything in here that benefits the town in case the contractor is negligent on their duties. And I don't expect that to be the case. But as we always talk about, the contract is the legal document that we can fall back on. And without such language, and not to mention, and no disrespect to anybody at the golf course, because I'm sure they can handle this project on their own, but there is no clerk of the works. There is no, you know, engineer that's been assigned to the project, at least as written in this document, or at least it falls upon the town to pay for that said engineer to make sure they're doing said work. I don't know if that's incorporated in a different line item, but it's clearly not within this contract here. So
Right.
that's just
so-
my concerns.
Yeah, so I'll find out about the failure to perform, because obviously council reviews these when they create these. To your second point, obviously, each contract is different as it relates. I mean, they're replacing just sprinkler heads and wire, so I mean, you wouldn't typically have an OPM, owner's project manager for something like that, or an engineer. Now, when we do bigger projects, those are absolutely part of the contract. So there is some massaging of different contracts depending on what it is that you're actually having done. So, but let me find out about what the recourse is for, you know, failure to perform, in terms of missing dates and what recourse. Some of that could be in state law. I'm not 100% sure. So let me find out and I can get back to you on those.
And when you're doing that, in support of what Pete's saying, this is one of those areas that is really demonstrable about what the liquidated damages would be to the town, because we get revenue receipts from the golf course, and anything that precludes their
them
full
opening.
use would be accessible to being overtime. So they've got to come up with some language that distills that down, that we would be damaged by such and such, and therefore we would charge such and such for failure to meet the deadline requirements.
Yeah, some of the information I received from Roma, 'cause, you know, I wanted to get a little bit about the timeline. So, I mean, they're going to be starting in the next week or two. Right now, if again, whether winter cooperates or not, but if it does, they should be finished in April. So hopefully we get an early, you know, not a bad winter, and they keep working. But I'll research that, and I can get back to the board.
And not to bat this around, but historically, this town, I mean, you haven't been here all that long, but historically, we never default and purchase back against anybody. And that's a message that gets sent to contractors, too. If they know that with impunity, they can blow by a date, they don't have to worry too much, because nobody's ever actually held them to account. Okay, so you got both motions. Do you want me to split them, Pete, or you?
Personally, but that's, again, that's up to the majority of the board.
Sure, we can split them.
Would you be able to split the motions just to do the salt first?
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve a contract with Eastern Minerals, Inc. for the road salt in the amount of $73 per ton with a not-to-exceed amount of $146,000 as split from my first motion.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded for the Eastern Minerals contract to be awarded at $73 per ton. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now, I would suspect that if you're going to make this motion, please, at the end of it, say, subject to language revision for accountability.
I'd be more comfortable just bringing it back in a week.
Is that something we can do, or does he really want to start?
Pete makes a great point. It's heavily weighted toward the...
Yeah.
I'll do whatever the board wants to do. We'll put the project behind, likely, so I know he's anxious to get it going just because of the timing in the winter, but if the board's not comfortable signing it, I don't want you to vote. I'll have to try to track down the answers. It's going to have to go to legal, so I don't know
Can they
how
still
long that's
meet the
going to
deadline,
take.
then?
That I don't know.
Well, again, Tony's point was that they think, the project, and I'm sure there's a calendar, right? And so that they're currently slated, their hope is in April. So they clearly have some bandwidth to exceed.
Okay.
And I know that they put June out there for that weather contingency, right? But that's all part of what should be incorporated in the language as far as if they don't hit the June 1, if it's based on a horrific winter, that's the language that goes into the contract that buys them that extension. But to just leave it as a generic statement that it's...
You don't have to go on.
shoot for
We'll
the
wait
20
until next week.
I want to continue, Mr. Chair.
No, we're not.
I'll try to get it back by next week and see how it goes.
You had me with, I want to wait.
Yeah.
So if we're doing that, someone should remove the second to that, or have we done that already?
We have not done that already, but
So
I remove my second.
and I remove my motion.
okay, and pending it being on the next week's agenda. Now, the reason I wanted this sheared off is I got this out of clear blue sky over this past week. It said here, the chair always signs these. And I don't mean last year or the year before. I mean always. Since we become a Greens community, I think it was, 2017? Is when this started, the certifications. Just as a matter of course, if anybody's going to sign something, I don't care whether it's historically or not, I'd like to get a vote of the board to affirm that they authorized us to sign. It could have and it would have just been me signing it off, and you guys would have never known. But I will say that I have served on this board for 8.5 years, and I never knew that anybody was making this certification. So rather bring it forward and have you have the opportunity to say yeah or no. We do or don't want you to sign this. So with that, I turn it over to you guys. They need a certification, but I'm not going to do it on my own.
Yeah, the deadline is the 31st.
But I'm not doing that on my own without a vote of the board to authorize it.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I would agree that it should come before the board. There isn't any individual on this board that has the authority to sign anything on behalf of the board without the board's approval. But with that said, I vote to authorize the chair to sign the Green Communities Annual Report, and it looks like baseline fiscal year is 2018. Back to your initial question.
I knew I was off a year.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to authorize the chair to sign the Green Communities Annual Report. Probably everybody should want to be looking at this too, because the requirements are fairly substantial, and if we were to go any further, we would have even more substantial requirements, because these reports mean something. But, all right, motion's been made. Any further discussion? Yes.
Sorry, this is a report. This does not bind us to do anything.
No, we have already been bound.
I understand that. I'm just
And
making
we are
sure there's no
obligated-
future binding that's coming down the
Unless
pipe
we,
with your signature.
unless we agree to the enhanced green
Understood.
communities.
Okay.
I read it as a status update.
That's how I read it, but this was long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt uncomfortable certifying anything without anybody's authority.
Yeah,
So
great.
there we have it.
Okay.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Town Administrator's report. You're limited to 2.5 minutes because that was the agreement I had with Jen, 8:30.
Well before 8:30.
Go ahead.
So this past Saturday, we had the emergency preparedness fair over at the community center that the folks from the Health Department of Conservation, as well as a bunch of community partners, focused on emergency preparedness. So it went excellent. If you remember last year, it was a nor'easter on the day they had. I don't think anyone came through. But they're already working on next year to make it even better. So a great event over at the community center on Saturday. I had a chance to spend an hour and a half or so over there talking with all the folks that had tables set up and everything else. So we're looking forward to hosting that again.
looking at the weather for this week, they're lucky they did it last.
That's correct. I have received an application for a town engineer, so we're in the process of reviewing that for a potential hire for a town engineer. And hopefully next Monday, I'll be mentioning an appointment for a local building inspector, so that would round out the building department. So we're quickly filling up the holes that exist and plugging away.
Nice. Terrific, terrific news.
Were you going to mention ZBA?
I was, but...
Yep, no, go ahead.
Okay.
I'll let you do it.
All right, well...
When it's your turn.
And you can add to it, Tony, if you'd like.
Need members.
What's that?
We need members.
Exactly. Zoning Board of Appeals has a heavy workload. They do excellent work.
That's a way to recruit.
Yeah. They do important
Has a
work.
heavy workload.
This town runs in committees. The Energy Committee is short of people enough that they can't attain a quorum. So to anybody listening out in TV land, we need volunteers. It helps the town, it helps us make better decisions, so, thank you.
Is that, any questions from the town administrator on his report? Okay, select board reports. Pete?
Good.
Anita?
The only thing that I would like to state is thank you to Emily for bringing forward the open meeting law forum that you had the other day, and I did attend it. So thank you very much. It was well worth listening to. You know, can always learn something. Thank you very much for doing that.
Mark and I attended the same session, but in completely different corners of the room.
Yes.
Just for the record.
We didn't talk.
No.
I had the pleasure of being out at Hinckley's Pond, I think it was Wednesday, for dedication of the walking trail. It was Wednesday, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Yeah. For the Harwich Conservation Trust's unveiling of the walking path at Hinckley's Pond. It is quite something, and they have already under their belt the area, Bank Street, that they have reconstructed, and they're planning on other projects just like this. This isn't just letting a bog go to seed. It's really planned rewilding, and it's really impressive. And for those people who are so inclined, they've got a boardwalk. It's fully accessible. You can go around the pond with it. It's just beautiful. And they've done terrific work. They've always been great partners with us, so I give them a lot of credit for putting this together. Mark?
I've already said everything. Thank you.
Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just two things. I have two agenda requests for next Monday, if I could. Simple ones first. I would like to have the office hours that I will be holding as a select board member. I will have the date to you by tomorrow.
Okay.
So that it hopefully can make the agenda for next Monday, so
Sure.
we can get that out to the public. And then secondly, you know, based on the discussion that happened at public comment, I, a board member, would like to respectfully and formally request that the license issue at the 204 be put on the agenda for next week. And I, you know, I have a lot of questions that has come to my mind as we sit here tonight. And, you know, I hope we can just get clarity. And the questions I have, and I'm not going to bring them up tonight, but I'll certainly email them to you if you'd like, and then that way you'll have a heads up. Nobody's surprised at the questions, and then everyone can prepare to present answers. So I respectfully request that to be on the agenda.
The only caveat I can give you is it'll either be this week or next week, this coming week or the week after that, depending on what is already going to be on there. But I do intend on having this, because we also need to ask Kara some things. I need to have a conversation with Tony to see how we got to this place, and then we have to review the documents. So it isn't just like get us all back together here. And
Understood. And even if it's a 2-week event where we break it into pieces.
My intention is to actually bring it back.
Great. And just, you know, we've got the livelihood of 2 people sitting in the audience right now, and I would like to get them answers.
But just for clarity's sake for everybody, and that's what this comment was at the beginning of the meeting, the public comment section is not designed to adjudicate anything. It's just designed to come in and say, hey, this happened or that happened, thank you. you really aren't able to get,
The process to.
you aren't able to get to a conclusion. So
Yeah, I understand that there is a timeliness to it for December 1st.
I get that, and I'm hoping to have that as our first discussion about when the deadline could be. But there's a myriad of things we have to discuss. What's happening, what the agreement says, what's reasonable in terms of timing.
Fully available for just cooperation and resolution.
Okay, but again, nobody wants to do anything rash, so we're definitely going to look at it. But right now, I have no intention of going down there myself at the end of the month and helping her load a van up. So we'll see what we can find out. Okay?
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield.
Thank you, because I'm going to ask for a motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. Anybody who wants to debate it can stay. Otherwise, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.